The good news, if I may, is that snap elections are not really on the cards for now. Still, in fact, one of the big reasons why this government came together in the first place in 2019 was to avoid snap elections, and I think Renzi knows that, and it's one reason why he's been able to challenge the prime minister the way he has. Now, a lot of this, of course, has to do with coalition politics and power, as you would expect. But I think a lot of the criticism that's been directed to Conte is justified. The management of the pandemic, particularly the second wave, has not been very impressive, I have to say. Not unlike other major European economies or Western economies, to be fair. More importantly, perhaps as you mentioned, the recovery plan that the government has put together. So essentially how the government intends to spend substantial amounts of EU funding that it's slated to receive from this year onwards is also quite unconvincing. And this is really crucial for the country to, to get this right, to get the recovery underway and on a stable footing.
Talk to us about Prime Minister Conte's popularity in the polls right now, because it seemed over the summer that he was gaining popularity and his proportion in the share vote was going up. He was viewed quite favorably. What has happened since the summer, and what does this potentially mean for him in case there were to be a reshuffling of the government right now?
Well, that's right. Anyone who's been following Italian politics for a while, even tangentially, will know that governments don't tend to last more than 1 to 2 years on average. Giuseppe Conte's first government in 2018 was no exception, and there's a chance that, the current government might also follow the same fate. In a way, as I said, the government was not particularly cohesive or stable to begin with. It came together mainly to avoid elections back in 2019. The pandemic was something of a blessing in disguise for Conte. There was a big rally around the flag effect, as we saw elsewhere in the world, as the healthcare emergency took center stage. But that has now changed to some extent, and we've seen pressure on the prime minister build, particularly since December, for some of the issues that I mentioned. Now, with snap elections not really on the cards, as I said, given how reluctant governing parties are to face voters, even assuming elections could be held efficiently in the midst of a pandemic, governing parties expect elections to propel the far right, the Eurosceptic opposition to power. Understandably, they're not keen to face voters for the time being or for as long as possible. So what's really on the cards, I would say, is, either a major government reshuffle. It seems that's the way things are heading at the moment. That would see, the prime minister relinquish some of his powers to the benefit of coalition partners. Another option that's been gaining ground, that's been talked about a lot, is a national unity government. So broadening the governing majority to include some of the opposition, potentially bringing in a new prime minister, potentially a technocrat. Mario Draghi, of course, that's the name that often comes up, former ECB presidency. But in any case, it's unlikely that we're going to see a major change in the political direction of the government or the policy outlook, which is, I think, one big reason why markets so far have, to a large extent, papered through all this political uncertainty.